We have even more devastating consequences of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We've been profiling recently the number of people who've been maimed or become infertile or lost their life as a result of the legal changes, but other people are facing literal legal consequences. And so we have this report suggesting that pregnant women now face an increased risk in a number of states of criminal prosecution related to pregnancy.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
And so between June of 2022 and June of 2023, there were more than 200 cases in which a pregnant person faced criminal charges for conduct associated with pregnancy loss, or birth. The most cases recorded in a single year over decades of tracking. And what changed? I don't know. There's something that modified the legal landscape, but a lot of this has to do with the concept of fetal personhood, which is a thing that the right has pushed as a sort of backdoor way to outlaw abortion. As long as Roe v. Wade existed, they couldn't push it on a national level. It was much harder to do it in an explicit way, but obviously with Roe v. Wade being killed, that is now much easier to do. But we want to jump into the exact sort of cases that are being lodged against people now. So the vast majority of them allege some form of child abuse, neglect, or endangerment. Other documented charges against pregnant women include criminal homicide and drug-related charges related to a criminal abortion statute that has since been repealed, and one charge of abuse of a corpse. And in particular, the drug charges are like the most fascinating section of this, because in basically all these cases, the person doing the charging about drugs, and in many of these cases, drugs are the only thing that are the basis of these charges. It's not drugs and something else. They do not need to make the case or prove that drug use had some sort of effect on a fetus or on a pregnancy. Just the fact that you are using drugs, even if there's no link whatsoever to an issue with the pregnancy, can be enough to potentially land you in serious criminal consequences, including in prison. And as we sort of joked about or talked about in our production meeting beforehand, as you might guess, those sorts of charges are not being levied against all groups evenly. They're being used to attack those who are like politically powerless, those who generally get the short end of the stick when it comes to our judicial system are in this case as well. And it's not happening everywhere. About half of the cases were in Alabama, another third were in Oklahoma. There were a dozen in South Carolina. These are all states where abortion is banned or heavily restricted. And so in addition to that, you now have this extra level of maybe we can lock some people up, even if they had nothing to do with losing a pregnancy. What do you think, Sharon?
Yeah, that's what I believe. And the studies showed, the research, the independent groups killed several young mothers here in Georgia, one of whom was begged by her sister and mother to please go to the hospital. But because she was in Georgia, she was afraid she would be locked up, criminal charges. And she wasn't delusional right before she died and left her loving family, children behind. This is the intent. So when Brian Kemp releases statements saying, oh, no, that has nothing to do with it, it's not true. I had a huge fight with you've heard me talk about my one Republican friend who said, this is the Harris wolves and the Democrats' fault for not explaining. The bill allows for people to get treatment if they need it, Sharon. I couldn't believe he was saying that, right? Yeah. Let's blame the victims. Doctors won't operate. They wait till conditions worsen. And in these cases that you mentioned, it got too bad. Women died on the table if they even made it there. So this whole thing is by design. Telling women you'll lock them up to protect a baby, a fetus. What about their lives? This is the great hypocrisy of it.
Yeah. And again, as we talked about yesterday in the show with Garrison, it's not like they draw blood and then the test results come back. Life is in danger. That's not how it works. It's not a binary thing. And you have produced an environment intentionally where the doctors will err on the side of not helping because they don't want to land in jail. And isn't it sick, by the way, that this is what they would do to doctors? Like, do not get involved, even if you deeply suspect that the person could end up dying, because we might lock you up. But like cops who beat the crap out of people to the point of death, they say they were afraid. We should really err on the side of them saying they were afraid. Again, think about the stakes in these cases. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.